She doesn't destroy your power when she attacks you. You destroy it yourself. Not with your words. Not with your actions. But with your reaction. Most men never realize this. A woman can say something sharp, cold, disrespectful, even unfair. And in that moment, she learns something about you. Not from what you say. From what you become. The problem isn't the attack. The problem is what happens inside your head after it. Your heart starts racing. Your ego wakes up. You feel the need to defend yourself. To explain yourself. To prove yourself. And suddenly, you're no longer in control. You're fighting for approval. That is where most men lose. Not because they are weak. Because they panic. Imagine this. You've had a long day. You're tired. You walk into the room. Everything seems normal. Then she says it. A sentence. Maybe a criticism. Maybe a comparison. Maybe a sarcastic comment. And it hits harder than it should. Now you're standing at a crossroads. One path leads to power. The other leads to emotional collapse. Most men choose the second one. Without realizing it. They raise their voice. They interrupt. They defend. They argue. They try to win. But something strange happens. The more they fight for respect, the less respect they receive. Because emotional control is visible. People can feel it. Especially women. A man who loses control under pressure reveals more than he intends. He reveals insecurity, neediness, fear. And fear is expensive. It costs attraction. It costs respect. It costs influence. The strongest response is often the one nobody expects. Silence. Not weak silence. Not defeated silence. Controlled silence. The kind that comes from strength. The kind that says, I heard you. But I refuse to surrender my emotions. That energy changes everything. Because now the attack has nowhere to land. Think about that. An insult needs a reaction. Drama needs participation. Conflict needs fuel. Without fuel, the fire struggles to survive. And that's where most men make a fatal mistake. They think control means suppressing emotions. It doesn't. Control means managing emotions. Big difference. Suppression creates pressure. Management creates stability. A controlled man still feels anger. Still feels disappointment. Still feels frustration. But he doesn't hand over the steering wheel. He remains the driver. That's the emotional survival tactic. Stay in the driver's seat. Even when the road gets rough. There was a man who learned this the hard way. For years, he reacted to everything. Every criticism. Every disagreement. Every emotional storm. He thought defending himself proved strength. It didn't. It only made him exhausted. One day, during another argument, something changed. She accused him of not caring. Not listening. Not understanding. Normally, he would have exploded. This time he paused. 5 seconds. That was it. 5 seconds. No defense. No interruption. No emotional explosion. Just calm. And something unexpected happened. The energy shifted. The argument lost momentum. Because his reaction was gone. The pattern broke. Most people are trapped inside patterns. Attack. Reaction. Attack. Reaction. Again. And again. And again. The moment you refuse the pattern, you gain power. Not power over her. Power over yourself. And that is the only power that truly matters. Because self-control cannot be taken away. Here's something most men never hear. Sometimes the attack isn't even about you. Read that again. Sometimes the words are about stress, fear, anxiety, disappointment. Sometimes you're simply the nearest target. Yet men often personalize everything. Every complaint becomes an attack on their identity. Every disagreement becomes a threat. Every criticism becomes a war. And when everything feels like a war, peace becomes impossible. Strong men don't treat every challenge like a battlefield. They choose carefully. They understand that not every comment deserves a response. Not every accusation deserves a defense. Not every emotional moment deserves engagement. That level of discipline creates mystery. It creates calm. It creates respect. Because most people are emotionally predictable. Push them, and they react. Insult them, and they explode. Challenge them, and they panic. A disciplined man becomes difficult to manipulate. And that's rare. Very rare. Think about the men you admire. The leaders. The athletes. The men who command a room without saying much. What do they all have in common? Control. Not perfection. Control. When pressure rises, they become calmer. When chaos appears, they become steadier. When emotions spike, they become more focused. That difference changes everything. Because pressure reveals character. Anyone can appear strong when life is easy. Anyone can seem confident when everything goes their way. The real test comes when emotions enter the room. That is where true strength lives. And women notice it. Maybe not consciously. But they notice it. A man who remains grounded during emotional storms feels different. Safer. Stronger. More trustworthy. More attractive. Not because he's dominant. Because he's stable. Stability is underrated. Everyone talks about confidence. Few people talk about emotional stability. Yet emotional stability is what confidence looks like under pressure. Here's another truth. You don't always need the perfect response. Sometimes you don't need a response at all. That sounds simple. But it's difficult. Because your ego wants justice. Your ego wants validation. Your ego wants the final word. But the final word rarely changes anything. Your emotional state changes everything. Imagine two men. One reacts instantly. The other pauses. Breathes. Thinks. Then chooses his response. Which man appears stronger? The answer is obvious. And that's exactly why emotional discipline matters. Reaction is automatic. Response is intentional. Automatic behavior belongs to children. Intentional behavior belongs to men. The world rewards men who can separate emotion from action. Especially during conflict. Because conflict exposes weaknesses. And one weakness destroys more men than almost anything else. The inability to tolerate discomfort. They need immediate relief. Immediate explanation. Immediate validation. Immediate victory. But emotional maturity requires patience. The ability to sit inside discomfort without surrendering to it. That skill changes relationships. Business. Leadership. Everything. The next time she attacks you, watch what happens inside. Not outside. Inside. Notice the urge to react. Notice the anger. Notice the tension. Notice the need to prove yourself. Then do something different. Pause. Take a breath. Stay present. Stay grounded. Stay in control. Because the goal isn't to defeat her. The goal is to master yourself. And the man who masters himself becomes dangerous in the best possible way. Not dangerous to others. Dangerous to chaos. Dangerous to manipulation. Dangerous to emotional weakness. That kind of man cannot be easily shaken. Cannot be easily controlled. Cannot be easily broken. And that is why emotional control is attractive. Not because it impresses people. Because it reveals strength. Real strength. The kind that survives pressure. The kind that survives conflict. The kind that survives life. Remember this. Anyone can stay calm when everything feels good. The real test comes when emotions attack your peace. When criticism attacks your ego. When tension attacks your confidence. That moment decides everything. Not what she said. Not what she did. What you became afterward. Because every attack is secretly a question. Can you remain yourself under pressure? Most men say no without realizing it. The powerful man says yes. Not with words. With behavior. With discipline. With control. And the moment you stop fighting every emotional battle, you start winning the only battle that ever mattered. The one inside yourself.